Imagine standing in the middle of a dusty street in the 1870s. The sun is blazing, a Colt revolver in your hand, and across from you, a gang that just robbed the stagecoach. One wrong move and your name becomes legend, or you end up in an unmarked grave on Boot Hill. This wasn't a movie. This was the real Wild West of America. But here's the shocking truth. It appeared almost overnight after the Civil War, and vanished in just 30 years, as if it had never existed. How is that possible? Why did cowboys, outlaws, and Native Americans suddenly become history? Today, you'll hear the real, no Hollywood glitter story of the Wild West, how it was born in blood and dust, and why it died from barbed wire and railroads. If you watch until the end, you'll discover why this short period still rules our imagination. Let's ride. Chapter 1. Birth of Chaos, 1865 to 1870. The Civil War ended in 1865. The South was destroyed. Millions of men were out of work, landless, and hopeless. Then the U.S. government shouted, "Go west! Take free land!" The Homestead Act of 1862 offered any person 160 acres, 65 hectares, of prairie for just $10. Live on it for 5 years and it's yours. Former soldiers, freed slaves, and European immigrants poured across the Mississippi. Interesting fact, up to 20% of early settlers were Black Americans. They even founded all-Black towns like Nicodemus in Kansas. The real spark that ignited the Wild West came in 1869. On May 10th in Promontory, Utah, workers drove the Golden Spike, completing the first transcontinental railroad. A train from New York now reached San Francisco in just 10 days instead of 6 months. Chapter 2. Gold, Cowboys and Boom Towns, 1870 to 1875. Gold. Strikes in Colorado. In 1859, then Nevada, Montana, and Dakota Territory triggered new rushes. Towns sprang up overnight. Yesterday, empty land. Today, 5,000 miners, saloons, and brothels. The most famous was Dodge City, Kansas, nicknamed the cowboy capital of the world. Texas Longhorn cattle were driven up the Chisholm Trail. Every season brought 300,000 to 400,000 head. Cowboys earned $30 to $40 a month, about $800 to $1,000 in today's money, and spent it all in saloons. Interesting fact, the word cowboy came from Mexican vaqueros. About 1/3 of all cowboys were Mexican, and another quarter were Black. The image of white cowboys in white hats is a 20th century Hollywood myth. Chapter 3. Indian Wars and the End of the Open Range, 1875 to 1880. Native Americans refused to give up their land quietly. Sioux, Cheyenne, and Apache fought back fiercely. The most famous Native victory came on June 25, 1876, the Battle of Little Bighorn. General George Custer and 210 soldiers were wiped out by combined Sioux and Cheyenne forces led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse. Interesting fact, Native Americans called it the battle where Custer was killed. Americans called it Custer's Last Stand. After this defeat, the U.S. Army launched total war. By 1881, most major tribes had been forced onto reservations. Chapter 4. The Era of Outlaws and Legendary Lawmen, 1880 to 1885. Now the Wild West meant towns with sheriffs and famous gunfighters. October 26, 1881, Tombstone, Arizona. The gunfight at the OK Corral. Wyatt Earp, his brothers, and Doc Holliday against the Clanton Gang. 30 seconds, 3 men dead. The most famous shootout in history. Billy the Kid, real name Henry McCarty. Legend says 21 men killed, shot dead by Sheriff Pat Garrett in 1881 at age 21. Jesse James, robbed trains and banks, shot in the back by his own gang member in 1882. Interesting fact, real high noon street duels were almost non-existent. Most killings happened from ambush, in the back, or during drunken fights. Many towns enforced strict gun control. Check your revolver at the saloon door. Chapter 5. The Death of the Wild West, 1885 to 1895. Progress killed it. In 1874, Joseph Glidden patented barbed wire. Within 10 years, millions of miles were sold. The open range was finished. The winter of 1886 to 1887, the Great Die-Up. Blizzards killed up to 90% of cattle across the plains. Big ranches went bankrupt. In 1890, the U.S. Census Bureau officially declared, "The frontier is closed." The last major tragedy was the Wounded Knee Massacre on December 29, 1890. The Army killed around 300 Lakota Sioux. Interesting fact, the final true range war was the Johnson County War in 1892 in Wyoming. Big cattle barons hired gunmen to kill small homesteaders. It marked the real end of the era. Conclusion: the Wild West lasted only about 30 years, from 1865 to 1895. It was born from the chaos after the Civil War and died from railroads, barbed wire, and government bureaucracy. But the myth lived on. In 1883, Buffalo Bill launched his Wild West show and took cowboys, Native Americans, and shootouts on tour around the world. Hollywood did the rest. Today, we watch Westerns and think, that was the life. In reality, it was a short, brutal, yet incredibly free period that forever changed America. If you enjoyed this, hit like, comment below. Who is your favorite Wild West figure? And subscribe. The next real history story is coming soon. See you on the dusty trails of history.